From Washington, D.C., this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Hena Zuberi. First, the headlines. Trump-loving judge is letting Capitol rioters off easy. U.S. economy may face recession next year. President Biden ready to embrace Saudi crown prince. YouTube videos are targeting Muslims, women in India, study says. Turkish embassy honors winners of Islamic calligraphy contest in Bangladesh. UAE bans Disney-Pixar movie Lightyear. And our top story tonight. A federal judge appointed by former President Donald Trump has imposed the lightest sentence on two people convicted of taking part in the January 6th Capitol riot. Judge Trevor McFadden has criticized the U.S. Justice Department and prosecutors for disproportionate sentencing recommendations. To date, only two people accused of participating in the Capitol riot who have gone to trial have had their cases decided by a judge, CBS reports. No jury has acquitted a riot defendant, including the one before McFadden. On April 6, McFadden issued the first acquittal of a Capitol riot defendant after a two-day bench trial, Politico reported. New Mexico engineer Matthew Martin claimed he thought police allowed him in through an entrance near the Capitol rotunda during the riot. In another case, McFadden convicted Cowboys for Trump founder Coy Griffin on a trespassing charge, while acquitting him of a more serious count of disorderly conduct. The U.S. economy is expected to fall into a recession next year, according to a survey by the Financial Times, an initiative on global markets at the University of Chicago. While 38% of survey respondents estimate the economy will tip into a recession in the first half of 2023, 30% anticipate it could happen in the second half of next year. About 9% of respondents believe in a recession, which is likely in the first half of 2024, and 21% estimate it could happen in the third quarter of 2024 or later. Only 2% of respondents anticipate a recession could happen by the fourth quarter of this year. The survey was conducted with 49 respondents on June 6th through the 9th. The Biden administration is seeking to revamp its relations with Saudi Arabia in the face of record-breaking oil prices in the U.S., according to a report published Friday. The decision to reset ties would effectively move the U.S. past the grisly 2018 killing of Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. President Joe Biden had vowed to make Riyadh a pariah for Khashoggi's murder, CNN reported, citing anonymous senior officials. An intelligence report released last year named Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed ibn Salman responsible for the killing of the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Khashoggi's body was never recovered and is believed to have been dismembered before being disposed of in either acid or a large incinerator. On Monday, Palestinian leaders welcomed a decision by Norway to label products from Jewish settlements with their place of origin. Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shataya thanked Norway for the historic and moral move during a cabinet meeting. Shataya urged all countries to boycott Israeli products from settlements in the occupied Palestinian territories in accordance with international law. On Saturday, the Norwegian government decided to label products from Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank and the Syrian Golan Heights. In 2015, the European Commission recommended its member states follow this practice, which was later confirmed by the European Court of Justice in 2019. Influencers backing India's ruling Hindu Nationalist Party are using YouTube videos to spread conspiracy theories and hateful content targeting Muslim and women. That's according to a report by the New York University Stern Center for Business and Human Rights. The report urges India to pressure Alphabet Inc.'s Google-owned video platform to disclose information on how algorithms recommend and remove content. India has more than 450 million YouTube users nearly double the size of the platform's US base. The videos have helped fuel a conspiracy theory that Muslims spread COVID as a form of jihad, or according to them, holy war, the new report said. Muslims believe jihad is an internal struggle against their egos. A YouTube spokesperson said that the report's recommendations were priorities, although greater algorithmic transparency makes it harder to protect its systems. We will discuss findings of this report in our in-depth analysis segments later tonight on our show, so keep watching Muslim News. Rofi Usman, a National Assembly member in Cambodia, oversaw a large-scale medical mission providing free medical exams to 500 people from the Khmer Muslim community. The mission took place in Vihir Sambo village. It was organized by volunteer doctors from the Cambodian Muslim Youth Alliance as part of a government effort to reach out to Cambodia's minorities. People received services including general medical checkups, gynecological checkups, pediatric, ophthalmological, and serious medical treatments. Osman thanked the two associations for their dedicated efforts and development of various programs to help Cambodians. Australia's first Muslim Women's Festival elevated the voices of diverse Muslim women and was held earlier this month in Sydney. It is a radical disruption to the violence meted out against the community, wrote Australian Muslim author Randa Abdul Fattah. Roughly 85% of Islamophobic abuse is targeted at veiled Muslim women. Abdul Fattah said that the political realities of Muslim women's lives extend beyond having a hijab ripped off one's head or being called a terrorist. The festival brought together trailblazers, leaders, celebrities, artists, and activists for panels, workshops, and interactive art displays. Panelists addressed identity challenges and power dynamics in Muslim women's lives. UAE bans Disney-Pixar movie Lightyear. Details after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
I am what hunger looks like in America.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. If we could find a way to get inside each other's minds. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes. Well, before you abuse, criticize and accuse. Walk a mile in my shoes.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
Billboards are popping up all over the country with an...
Our neighbors don't realize that Muslims are absolutely opposed to ISIS.
Salam. My name is Abdul Malik Mujahid. I'm an imam in Chicago.
16 shots! No me! No justice! No me!
So how do we bring up the energy which can really have an impact on the world?
You need to build bridges of understanding among people, and we need to have America moving forward.
That lesson learned brought the strength of humanity to America, which is the diversity.
Mujahid Talks, only on Muslim Network TV. Faithfully connected.
your eyes.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, it's your brother Zain Bika from South Africa. One of the first educational programs ever produced for Muslim children was the ever popular Adam's World series. The colorful and comical Muslim puppets stole the heart of a generation. Sound Vision will be releasing brand new episodes of Adam's World with the launch of a Adam's World app. Subscribers will enjoy new Adam's World episodes as they are released, as well as all the classic episodes of Adam's World. So visit adamsworldapp.com now to learn more, subscribe and enjoy new adventures of Adam and his friends. And let's keep helping tomorrow's Muslims today. Assalamu alaikum.
Adam's World. Believe me, there's a lot to see. Bismillah. Let's explore.
To stop this genocide, we need your help.
Welcome back. The United Arab Emirates banned the public screening of the Walt Disney-Pixar animated feature film Lightyear, releasing this week, Reuters reports. The Ministry of Youth and Cultural Media Regulatory Office wrote on Twitter the film violated the country's media content standards without specifying the violation. The film features the character Buzz Lightyear from the popular Toy Story franchise. It was set to release on June 16th in the UAE. The movie reportedly includes a same-sex kiss between two women in a relationship. Same-sex relationships are a crime in the UAE, like many other Middle Eastern countries. An Arabic hashtag, Lightyear banned in Emirates, was trending on Twitter in the wake of the ban. On Sunday, the General Secretary of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation spoke with Pakistan's foreign minister about India's Islamophobic actions. The leaders addressed recent remarks made by two spokespersons for India's ruling Bharatiya Janata Party against Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Hussain Brahim Taha expressed deep concern to Bilawal Bhutto Zardari over the remarks and the unending plight of Indian Muslims. The OIC is sensitive to a growing trend of Islamophobia and the need to take collective action to combat it, Pakistan's foreign ministry said. Bhutto Zardari, chair of the OIC Council of Foreign Ministers, said that the derogatory remarks made by BJP spokespeople deeply hurt the sentiments of Muslims. On Sunday, the Turkish embassy in Bangladesh capital Dhaka held an award ceremony for a recent Islamic calligraphy competition. The contest was organized during Ramadan, observed this year from early April till early May. It aimed to revive and promote the classical art of Islamic calligraphy. The contest was also a platform for Bangladeshi youth to express themselves through art. Mahmoudul Hassan won the top prize out of more than 700 participants. Shamsun Nahar Tasneem and Usama Haq placed second and third, respectively. On Monday, Syrian regime forces and the military opposition exchanged prisoners within the framework of the Astana process that was launched by Russia and Iran in 2017 to end the war in Syria. 5 detainees were released from each side at the Abu al-Zandin crossing in the northern part of Aleppo province, local sources said. The move came as a part of a project established with the participation of Turkey, Russia, Iran, and the United Nations. It took place under the supervision of the representatives of the UN and the International Committee of the Red Cross. The Syrian regime and opposition had a similar prisoner exchange on July 2, 2021. Africa will face a serious famine if wheat exports from Ukraine do not resume, Senegal's President Macky Sall said. Sall is also chairman of the African Union. The famine could destabilize the continent, he told French media outlets Radio France International and France 24 television. Sall met last week with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow and asked Putin to help Africa access fertilizer and grain. He said he's also calling for an end for Russia's war in Ukraine. United Nations officials warned Friday that global food security was being threatened by the war. It poses a threat of famine, destabilization, and mass migration worldwide, said the UN. Russia has blockaded Black Sea ports that normally send grain to the world. Coming up next after the break is our in-depth analysis on YouTube. So stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Imam Malik Mujahid in Chicago. Just like you, I was moved by that Allahu Akbar lady. She stood her ground, fearful of none, for her hijab and for her education. Sisters and brothers, Indian Muslims are facing a genocide. India does not care for Muslim protesting, but it does care for the world opinion. Therefore, we must push the United Nations. The UN has a responsibility to protect. They must prevent genocide. Please sign this UN petition now. Get others to sign. It will help. Trust me, it will help. We need 1 million signatures, brothers and sisters. Please sign now.
Despite the development of a COVID-19 vaccine, millions around the world will not have access. We need a vaccine that's free and available to everyone, everywhere. It's time for a people's vaccine.
They took over my bedroom. Come on, come on. Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. Dad! You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
We are Justice for All. Headquartered in the heart of downtown Chicago, Justice for All is a global humanitarian initiative dedicated to raising awareness for human rights concerns impacting vulnerable minority groups. Our diverse team of staff and volunteers, led by Imam Malik Mujahid, work tirelessly to help Justice for All achieve their goals. We promote policies that protect religious freedom, address the root causes of mass displacement, and recognize the plight of refugees and forced migrants. Together, we can continue to stand up for justice. Justice for all.
Welcome back. To discuss the report about harmful content on YouTube, let's go to Imam Abdul Malik Mujahid. Over to you, Imam Mujahid.
Thank you, Hena. Scholars have pointed out that Facebook played a critical role in genocide of Rohingya Muslims in Burma. Now, a new report by New York University School of Law, although not focused on India, is talking that YouTube is being weaponized against Muslims as well as women in India. We have the lead author of the report with us, Paul Barrett. Paul Barrett is a lead author of this report and adjunct professor at New York University School of Law. Welcome to Muslim Network TV.
Thank you.
Tell us, what are the salient findings of this report?
Well, the report looks at the continuing problems that YouTube has in filtering out misinformation and hateful content from its platform. And as you mentioned at the beginning of the segment, one of the countries that we looked at is India, which is YouTube's largest market, with more than 450 million people in India using YouTube. And in that country, one of the main problems that the platform has, or problems that the platform contributes to, is that it is a vehicle for hateful speech targeted at Muslims. And as I'm sure all of your viewers know, religious animosity is a big problem in India, and the current majority party there is Hindu nationalist, and many YouTube users are using the platform to incite hatred and at times even violence against Muslims in India.
Now, there are cases on Facebook, one case especially about, filed by the victims of Rohingya genocide in Burma, that Facebook did not do enough. So while studying the YouTube, have you studied what Facebook's role was in these things? Because also in India, WhatsApp probably is also the largest hold, and WhatsApp is being used to mobilize mob to go lynching people.
Yes, this report focused specifically on YouTube, but in past research, we have looked closely at Facebook and its challenges in doing content moderation in India and elsewhere, and we have noted the problems that you've just mentioned. None of these platforms has figured out how to screen out hateful speech and incitement to violence to the degree that they need to. And that's why we come back and do this research and point out where the problems are. And the problems are fairly common from one platform to the other, which is to say these are US-based companies that are obviously more skilled at doing content moderation in English and in the context of a culture that they understand. But they've expanded greatly around the world and offer service in countries like India and many others, Myanmar, as you mentioned. And they are only now really making a serious effort to try to catch up and put in place the kinds of safety provisions that they need to have. And in the interim, sadly, we have seen the weaponization of the platforms, as you mentioned.
In the case of Facebook and Burma, it turned out Facebook was using the Burmese national to monitor. And many of them, instead of banning the hate speech, they were banning people who were fighting the hate speech. In case of YouTube, we recently found out that an organization, Justice for All, based in Chicago and different places, it has an appeal on YouTube to ask for the protection of minorities in India. Their video was banned 7-8 times, and the person who was communicating was himself from Indian origin. Do you think reliance on the people of the same region creates more problem that they might be inclined to support one side or the other?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the particular case you've just mentioned. But obviously, if you have people who are overseeing content moderation who have some type of partisan or ethnic interest, that can become a big problem. But there is a tension here because you need to have people who understand the language and who understand the culture. So it's the burden should be on the company to make sure those people are impartial and are making decisions based on the merits, not on any other basis.
Does Google have any system of training these people in the culture of impartiality and the universal ethos?
The big problem here is that for the most part, the people who do content review are not even the employees of the platform. So they're not Google employees, they're not YouTube employees. They are the employees of outside third-party contractors. And the big platforms do this outsourcing because it saves them money. And it puts the problem of content moderation at arm's length. This is something we've written about at some length at our Center for Business and Human Rights at NYU. So the question of training is one that is pushed out of the company and onto the back of the third-party vendor, and I think that is a problem. And we have recommended that all of the platforms bring all of these jobs, the content moderation jobs, in-house and make these people direct employees and take responsibility for supervision, which would include, obviously, training them and being impartial in the work they do.
Does YouTube have any appeal process? Because once people are being judged, how good is the content, they make a right decision or the wrong decision. Is there an appeal process?
There are procedures, at least on the books. So in a formal sense, the answer is yes. But the whole process is far too secretive. There's not enough transparency. And this is something that YouTube and the other platforms need to step up on. They need to do a much better job of making it clear how a user can challenge a decision to take content off the platform.
What are your main recommendations for YouTube? Are you recommending that they hire people instead of contracting it out?
Yes, precisely. That's one of our main recommendations, that they hire people and hire far more people than they have at the moment on an outsourced basis. This is not because you're going to end up with a situation where you're ever going to have enough people to do a perfect job. Unfortunately, these platforms have gotten so big; they have so many people posting material on it. 1 billion hours of video a day is viewed on YouTube. It would be hard to have enough people to keep track of all that. They do have automated systems driven by artificial intelligence, and those they need to improve. But at the same time, they need to bring the content moderation jobs, the human content moderation jobs, in-house, provide those people with the kind of direct supervision that they're not getting at the moment.
I see that in report you have noted that the government of India has assigned itself the responsibility of social media removing content or restoring a certain contract. Have you studied how the government of India is using it?
We haven't. We don't have people on the ground in India to do that. I think it's a very problematic policy for a government to undertake. In the United States, just for comparison purposes, the government would not be able to exercise that kind of authority under the First Amendment. And this just adds yet another wrinkle to the very complex situation created by having such a pervasive and widely used platform that people can unfortunately misuse.
Now, you have recommendation for many civil society and YouTube and the US government, but you do not have any recommendation for the Indian government, which seems to be which has been declared half free by Freedom House, and Reporters Without Borders rate their media freedom around Rwanda and Afghanistan.
Yeah, you're correct. We in terms of our government recommendations, we limited ourselves to the United States government. In any single piece of research or advocacy, you're going to have to limit your field of focus to some degree, and we did not go country by country. And happily, we have brother and sister civil society organizations that are making the kinds of evaluations that you just referred to. So we hope what we've recommended can be useful as far as it goes, but we did not, as you say, make recommendations to the government of India.
Well, thank you so much, Paul Barrett, for your work.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Back to you, Hena.
Thank you so much, Imam Mujahid and Paul Barrett. That's all from our Washington studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can find previous episodes and more on our YouTube and Facebook. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.